refocus the community back onto Israel as something which is foremost in their conscience and their minds, and has led to this, which is always for us the ultimate barometer. This increase in Aliyah, which has been an exceptionally successful Aliyah to date, with these new, Aliyah flights and the excitement that they've caused. So really, thank you to the time and the new leadership. It's meant a lot to always have Telfed in Israel as our partner, and our work is sending them to Israel, and your work is to look after them. So we've hopefully kept you busy as well. What I'm going to talk about tonight is basically the effects of Operation Cast Lead on the South African Jewish community, which culminated in the Goldstone affair. It wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a whole build-up of sort of situations which we'd never encountered in South Africa until that time. And unfortunately, those of you who've seen the statements in the press, etc., the actual contents of the meeting, it was agreed to keep off record. There are my opening statements and Goldstones that were circulated. I think they're on the Guardian website and a number of other places. I'm happy to provide them with you. I will give you an idea of how the meeting went and the conduct, but the exact specifics of what was discussed, unfortunately is confidential. So if anyone came for that reason, please leave. No offence will be taken. Don't joke. Some did leave when I mentioned that first time round. Operation Cast Lead was very different from. I've been in this position for 8 years, and we've gone through second Intifada, second Lebanon War, and Cast Lead. You would really think that the issues of Israel are the most pressing problems that South Africa and the whole of Africa has. The way, the focus and attention. I always say that I think Israel's greatest service to Africa would be if it attacked Zimbabwe, Darfur, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, because then at least those countries' poor victims would get the sympathy and the publicity and the outpouring of grief that they deserve. It's absolutely absurd that in a country where a neighbor has literally been destroyed by one man, where in the Democratic Republic of Congo 4 million people have died through the conflict, and in Darfur we're talking hundreds of thousands, that it's Israel that's the only country that ever gets condemned by the South African government, that is spoken about and obsessed about in the way that it is. But it is, what can we do? But in the previous conflicts, the supporters of Israel and supporters of whoever you want to call, as Zeb calls them, enemies, but supporters of the Palestinians, or whatever you want to call them, in a sense were very vociferous. They had marches, had everything. But they did not, in a sense, have a full-on confrontation between each other. The conflict was kept out of the South African arena. So, for example, the marches against Israel were held outside the Israeli embassy or held outside the American embassy, etc. But they never went for the South African Jewish community for its loyalty and support for Israel. That all changed in Operation Cast Lead. And I think that's very, very important to understand. It was a totally different approach. And, Zeb's alluded to some of them. I'll get to them as we go through the chronological events. But, so immediately, while the conflict was still on, there were, for the first time, calls for the boycotting of Jewish businesses. And as you can imagine, it's quite a long list. It goes to every company in South Africa. But there was the call for boycotts of South African businesses. And then there was, in a sense, this hate speech that Zevi referred to. There was the Fatima J, who spoke Indonesia. What was interesting with her is hers was actually one of the less inflammatory speeches, but she made the cardinal error of talking about how the Jews control the world. And Zev explained, that through the Human Rights Commission, etc., there was a very successful outcome there. And then there was the Zionistic hate speech, which was Barney Masuku, where again we managed from a speech he made on Wits campus to get that also declared as hate speech. And that was more, that they used the code word, the Zionists. So, we will hunt the Zionists down in South Africa. Any Zionists in South Africa whose children are serving in the army, we'll drive them out. They have no place here, they're not welcome, etc. So there was very much, that hate speech as well. And what was interesting is it continued after the war ended. And then probably the most extreme provocation that occurred at the time was what we always call the Battle for Biafra. That the anti-Israel forces decided to march on the Zionist Federation's offices in Biafra. So if anyone knows, the setup, Biafra is right in the heart of the Jewish neighborhoods of South Africa. And